meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. Amen. See you. Have you ever read something that you've heard a million times before and something else just jumps out at you? For the first time, I mean, maybe it's a movie you've seen, and you've seen it, and then one time you're just like, wow, I never noticed that. There's a couple things today that do this to me. It's a very well-known parable, but this is told in a different way. It's out of one, the one who made 5 pounds out of one, who made the 1 out of one. And normally we hear about the 5 talents, and it's 5 and 2 and 1. But we hear about 3 slaves. How many slaves were summoned and given each a pound? 10. What about the other 7? What did they do? We don't know. So it's one of those interesting things where 2 people witnessed the same event, and they tell it slightly differently because I remember there were 10. Okay, but here each slave's given 1, not the 5 and the 3. So you can see little differences there, and maybe it makes a difference to the story, maybe it doesn't. It makes me want to know what happened to the other 7 slaves. And when we read Maccabees, which most people don't because it's in the Apocrypha, we hear about Antiochus and the way he's torturing this woman and her 7 kids. And maybe we read it, and that's what we pick up on. It's this faith in the face of such torture by Antiochus, and particularly with the youngest son and these promises of being made the king's friend and given power and all these things. A lot like Daniel. There's a lot of parallels there. And how the mother's like, oh yeah, I'll convince him, and she's like, this guy's a jerk in their native language, and so they all end up suffering and dying, but he died in integrity, putting his whole trust in the Lord. And so maybe the story there is about trust and remaining steadfast, but I was the first time I read it, that's kind of where I was hit with it. But the second time, I listened to the words that the woman said. Not what happened, but what she was saying. Filled with the noble spirit, she reinforced her woman's reasoning with a man's courage and said to them, I do not know how you came into being in my womb. It was not I who gave you life and breath, nor I who set in order the elements within each of you. Therefore, the creator of the world, who shaped the beginning of mankind and devised the origin of all things, will in his mercy give life and breath back to you again, since you now forget yourselves for the sake of his laws. There's this understanding she has, and she's communicating to her sons, that they were not hers. She didn't make them. They were created out of creation. And God is this creator that creates out of nothing. And that made me think, when that stuck out to me, about this parable of what we would typically say the 5 talents. And what's it saying? Why are these 2 readings tied together? So the 10 slaves, they were each given, in this translation, a pound, and told to do something with it. The one made 10, the one made 5, and the one made 1, because he sort of did nothing with it. Did the slave that did his business and created 10 pounds out of 1, did he create the pound that started with? It wasn't his. It was the master's. It was given to him. Likewise with the 5 and likewise with the 1. All 10 of them, they were given something. So anything that they did create, whether the 7 went and did great things with them or they wasted it like the 1, it wasn't theirs to begin with. They didn't create the pound. This is what the woman is saying in Maccabees. She gave birth to the children. Her sons, she gave birth to them. She carried them. She nourished them and suckled them and weaned them and all those things she says to the youngest. But she did not create them. They were given to her just like the pounds were given to the slaves. She is saying that God gave them to her to do something with, to raise, to do all these things, to teach them to be the faithful people they ended up being. That's what's going on. Everybody turns. That's what's going on with the pounds. The orders. I actually like the way that it's said in this one as opposed to the more common one. Do business with these until I come back. Do something with them. I'm giving you something, do something with it. That's what the woman's saying. God gave her the 7 kids, the 7 sons, and said, do something with them until I come back. So, we tend to hear this parable with the slaves and the money, and we forget that anytime Jesus tells a parable, the master is always God. Because at the end, he's like, yeah, bring my enemies in and slaughter them. It's like, well, God wouldn't do that. Well, guess what? God would do that. We have all kinds of promises of God doing that. Even the Old Testament, Revelation, all kinds of stuff. So we've got this promise. Do something with it until I come back. And then we've got this woman who has an understanding of that. Do something with these 7. I'm giving them to you. They are not yours. They are mine. Do something with them until I come back. Clearly, from the way that they're described, the way they stay faithful, the way they die in integrity, putting their whole trust in the Lord, she is like the one who has created the 10 out of 1. Because she has done something, and it has been fruitful, and it has been beneficial, and it has grown. So when we read this, when we hear this, look past the whips and the thongs that they're being punished with, and the temptation to eat swine's flesh, or the promises that Antiochus is making to be like, I'll make you my friend, come in. Because they saw past all that. They saw the gift that was their lives and what they had done with